Pregame.com.
Florida catching 14 at LSU. This is Brian's best bet. Who do you like? Tell me why.
I'm going to be in the minority here, but I like the underdog. A lot of people are talking about Brantley not playing for Florida. Florida with Brantley, the last 2 years, he has a 14-13 touchdown to interception ratio. He might have been highly touted coming out of high school, but he's done nothing for Florida. So the drop-off from him to a freshman making his first start on the road, granted, is counted into the line. What kind of a drop-off is that? Because I think he's been an underperforming quarterback at Florida. Now you've got a team that lost last week on national TV to Alabama, who we continue to say is the best team in the country, and they were blown out on national TV. Nobody wants any part of Florida here. It's an SEC game. The entire nation knows they follow the SEC teams. I expect this line to climb even higher than it was. I think it opened at 12. And if you take a look at the Gators, they're 8-2 against the spread off of a straight-up loss, and they're 6-1 as a conference road underdog. So this is the spot that Florida's really good in. And not only is this game being played at LSU, but it's not a night game. And I've always said I cannot understand LSU's got such a strong home advantage on these night games, but they never play night games any longer. So they throws out half of their home field advantage. And as I've said before, and I did a video earlier talking about the SEC with Marco, the SEC has the smallest home field advantage of any conference because
the talent pool.
The talent pool is so good on the road. These kids in high school, everywhere they've been, they've gone on the road and won. And so the talent pool is so strong in the SEC, the home field advantage is not as strong. And I think you're getting full home field advantage here where you really don't deserve it.
I'll be honest, I was a little surprised that this line didn't even come out higher. And because LSU's #1 now in the AP poll, Florida lost Brantley, their stud quarterback, who I agree has underperformed, especially in big games. Mm-hmm. But Driscoll's a freshman making his first start against LSU. And even though he's only been in mop-up duty, he's already thrown 2 interceptions and completed less than 50% of his passes. Now he's going up against LSU. My surprise was this. Golden Nugget opened LSU 7.5 before the season. We know sharps were all over LSU when the lines came out. When the Hilton put their line out before the season, they had LSU 11.5. Now, for this game, even with Brantley out, they open it at 12. That to me is surprising, but it kind of supports what you said. The drop-off may not be that big in the quarterback. So obviously the odds makers or the bookmakers like what they see with Driscoll, and more importantly are willing to book that LSU money because they are going to get one-sided. I'll be honest, I'm afraid to go against this team. Mm-hmm. You know, I know LSU's the square side, but I wouldn't lay the 2 touchdowns either. If I had to bet the dog, the side, I'd take the dog or leave it alone because I think Florida's in a good spot to show up. Mm-hmm. But I think LSU is going to try to put on a show because Alabama just annihilated Florida. So now it's like, what are you going to do? Kind of like a fighter. I knocked them out in 4 rounds. What are you going to do to, do one up on me? Especially when you're pound for pound best, according to the AP. But the play I really like in this one, and I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me, is, and I'll even make this one of my plays, I like the under. I really do. I know it's off that key number of 42.5, 42 it went through. Now it's 41.5. As long as it don't dip below 41, I think there's a lot of value there for one reason only. Alabama held them to 10 points. I think LSU wants to do the same, if not better. And I think, if anything, Florida is going to try to simplify things. And they're going to be pretty vanilla against this defense. I don't think they're going to put themselves in a position to have turnovers and things that add up the points. So I like the under, to be honest with you.
Well, I can't disagree with anything you have said, but it's all factored into the line. I think that's why we're getting the 13.5, 14. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 14.5 once the public gets involved.
I wouldn't either.
On Saturday. But there's certain things you have to look at. And number one, you talked about LSU wanting to match Alabama. In reality, they don't have to match Alabama because right now they're 1-2.
The other way around, sure.
Well, and it doesn't really matter that way either because right now, whoever wins when those two teams play is the team to beat.
Yeah.
The team that loses that late in the season is probably not going to play for the national championship. So LSU can win all these games by 1 point. They're not going to be dropping. Once they beat if they beat Alabama, they'll be up to number 1 regardless. So you can beat everybody you want by 40 points, but in reality, all they have to do is win out, beat Alabama, and they're in the national championship game.
I agree, but as a player, don't you have an ego? You know what I mean?
Of course you have an ego. But
as a player on LSU, as a defense of LSU defense, don't you have a challenge?
You always have a challenge. But on the flip side, you have a Florida team who just got beat last week, and Florida is a very good team. And we talk about
SEC
quarterbacks. I mean, your third-string SEC quarterback could be starting for a lot of teams in this country. So they're recruiting great players. So the drop-off, I'm not sure that's that much of a drop-off. But LSU has never been good in this role. They're 3-17 against the spread as a conference home favorite since Miles has been there. 3-17, conference home favorite. And if you look the last 14 times they laid double digits at home against conference opponents, 1-13 against the spread. This is not, Les Miles does not blow out teams at home. So you're getting an inflated line, I think, because of the quarterback situation. You already talked about where the correct spot is for Florida here. LSU can easily win this game by 7-10 points, be very happy about their situation, knowing the Alabama game is what they need to win.
So 17-10 final, we're both happy.
17-10 final sounds great to me. I've had a lot of success in the SEC this year, 4-1 coming into this week's games. What I'm known for out in Vegas is I'm an Akron University graduate. I still follow the MAC very well. I got my MAC Game of the Year going this week. Highly recommend you get on this play. History shows that this is an easy winner.
I'm betting it.
Let's get it again this week.
I'm betting it.